Glad that you've come to this webinar. Let me know if you can hear me. If you can just get onto the chat so that I'm aware that you're hearing me and hearing me well. Thank you. Thank you for those who are getting in there. Kindly let me know where you're chatting us from. I know we had confirmations from many countries, so if you could just let us know where you are chatting us from. Great, I can see Catherine, you're in Nairobi South. Nairobi, thank you, Brenda. Thank you, Winnie, I can see you're there. Great, thank you. Great. I'm seeing at least most of you are joining us from Nairobi so far, and thank you so much for coming here. So I want us to just get started because obviously it's at night, it's a Friday. I'm sure most people want to, get back to whatever it is we do on Fridays. So I'll just jump right into it. I'll be sharing my screen. So let me do that. So if you need to, thank you, Patricia. I see you're from Meru. Monica, you're calling in from Gong. Gary from Nairobi. Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen. So we all got our emails, and we were talking about today about toxic work cultures. And let me start off with a true story of something that actually happened in an organization that I'm familiar with. There was in this particular organization, there was an extremely brilliant boss who was able to deliver on results and get things done. He was working in Africa from another country, so he was working in Africa as an expatriate, and generally was able to deliver on results and if and when he was required. But for some reason, he spent his time, wanting to demean the culture he had come into in Africa. He would constantly remind his workers what was wrong with the organization and so on. With their country, and then he would, shout at them, real shouting. He would demean them. He also created in groups, groups that were in the know, and then there were out groups, groups that were not in the know. They were out there. If you didn't, he didn't fancy you, he would generally just look for ways to get rid of you. He would also, spend money or company money in ways that were a bit questionable. I can remember one time this gentleman, on his invitation, overdid his beer or his drink and became a little bit, not actually a little bit, a lot excited. And before he knew it, he had been fired by this boss. He was quite senior, and it was very difficult to confront him. So when we join workplaces, most of us, we find that we have some expectations, whether your organization is a manufacturing organization or a company or a business. What tends to happen, most leaders or owners of businesses tend to wield a lot of power, and they can, assign resources, they can, sort of promote or demote people. They generally wield a lot of power. And the expectation is that that power is actually used for the benefit and of the organization, but also ethically and not unethically. So I don't know if you can just get onto the chat and tell us some of your expectations when you start working in an organization or when you employ people to work for you. What expectations do you have of them? If you can just get onto the chat and then let us know, you know, what expectations would somebody generally have to start working in a particular organization. Just get onto the chat. If you do that, I'll see your comment coming through. So some of the expectations most people will have is that, you know, you get, you know, you're paid fairly and that you're recognized for the work that you do. Also, you expect that you will have, you know, clear communication of expectations, that you're treated with dignity, and that, you know, generally that, you know, people act out of goodwill to achieve the objectives of the organization. You expect that there is morality and so on. You expect that you'll be given growth to learn, opportunity to learn and grow, or you know, that it's positive, it's energizing, that going to work is not a stressful, you know, affair. You expect fair treatment when you're there. Thank you guys for those who are giving your comments. But I mean, the truth is, you will find in many organizations, that's the expectation is actually not met. And when we say toxic, really what is toxic is how the individual feels about what exactly is happening in the organization. And I don't know whether you have any pointers as to what you think could be a toxic organization. So if you, again, you could get onto the chat and let me know what you think would be you know, a toxic place. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, backstabbing, yes. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah. So some of the things you'd expect. Yeah, I see somebody. Deepak is saying not delivering on promises. Somebody has said throwing people under the bus, being taken for granted. Usually, maybe you put in all the work and nobody is recognizing you for it, and so on. Discrimination based on your ethnicity and so on, favoritism. Thank you very much. Overworked and underpaid, gossip, isolation, and thank you so much, gossip. Somebody else has also said gossip. Thank you so much for your comment. So, I mean, in toxic, when you say toxic, that's how it makes you feel when you're in that organization. And you will find there is bullying, you have a bullying boss or a bullying colleague, you have corruption and bribery. People come to work to make deals on how to, you know, sort of sabotage the procurement process and such kind of things. There's fraud, there's stealing, there's isolation, and so on. And this generally will not, if you're a person of values, you'll not find that being a very you know, enjoyable place to work in. Somebody else also says that the leadership says one thing and yet does the opposite. You promise people good treatment and then you actually don't deliver on it. So toxic, we all understand toxic by how it makes us feel. So who am I? Why am I talking to you about toxic workplaces and so on? I'm a long-term professional in finance. I'm actually a CPA, a BCom postgraduate from the, I have a business certification from University of Leicester. I have been in finance for 15 years, and then I did another 5 in ethics, risk, and compliance for a global multinational. And my experience, you know, goes on for over 20 years. I'm also a coach and a mentor. I coach some of my coaches actually on this call. Thank you for your support. I mentor others. I'm an author. I've actually written a book on prayer. I'm also, you know, a wife to Benson Masharia, who is really been very supportive with this webinar. You can see he's supporting me to manage the call. And we have two lovely children, as you can see from the picture there. I'm also a strategy team leader for the church that I attend, and I'm also a born again Christian. So I am very passionate about workplace ethics, because I believe that if the individuals who go to an organization, and if the organization, the leaders in that organization are ethical, then we are likely to actually achieve our objectives. The objectives of that, we will deliver much faster. Imagine going to an organization where you're recognized, where you work as a team, where you, energy, you get good and fresh energy. Isn't that a place you want to give your time to, give your effort, rather than a place where people come to isolate others, come to plan how they shall survive that meeting, rather than putting their energies towards achieving objectives. So I'm very passionate about ethical work cultures, and I hope we shall get to know each other through this call. So where does toxic come from, generally speaking? From my research and my own experience, and you can tell me what your thoughts are on the chat. One of the things I find is people want to get ahead without paying the price. And that is why you will find you will do a presentation, for example, or a piece of work, and then it gets stolen, so to speak, quote unquote. Somebody else goes into the meeting and completely hijacks your work that you have put so much effort to research and to do. So people want to get ahead without paying the price, or the price they want to pay is not an ethical price. Like if you have individuals who want to slip up the corporate ladder, or bootleg, that's not a very ethical way of getting up the ladder, or at least delivering on strategic objectives. The other reason I think organizations become toxic and workplaces become toxic is we do not have structures to manage people or events that lead to toxicity. So you end up with issues where people misbehave. Let's say people are stealing, and there are no structures to identify that stealing going on. So you find that is spreading. Toxicity is very malignant. It tends to spread across across teams, but also across an organization. To be fair, there are people who are just insecure. You may have an insecure colleague, you may have an insecure boss, and you want to. You might find that they want to bully people, they want to get kickbacks, or they're just immoral. There are people who, for lack of training or for lack of wisdom, they find that they love to control others. They want to micromanage people, or they want to control the work or control information from where they are. Obviously, the individuals, I would say, you would find the individuals who have low self-esteem, whether they be leaders or they be the led. So where you have low self-esteem as being from a point of view of being led, you will find that you always are very suspicious of leadership. You are very suspicious of what the leaders want to do. And I can see people are also saying the higher ups with poor emotional intelligence or poor social intelligence. And I would add and say the poor emotional and social intelligence can actually appear anywhere in the corporate ladder. There are organizations that just have a blame culture. You don't want to make mistakes, and when you do make mistakes, you look for a scapegoat. There's somebody who is going to bear the price for it. Like I said earlier, there are people who have just a lot of greed. They want to get up, they want to get power, they want to get more money, they want to get more sexual experiences at the workplace, and in the process create a very toxic environment. So typically what tends to happen in those environments, because we're talking about places where people come together. So because these are people involved, there will be impact on an individual. There will be personal impact. And if you could just get on the chat again and let me know what you think are some of the impacts that you would see on individuals. One of the very obvious one is that you have lack of creativity and fear. So if you lead teams and that team has become toxic, people then don't come to work to be creative, to create more solutions, to be innovative for the business. They come to work to create solutions on how to survive in that environment. So you can see it's actually not a very friendly environment for individuals. You will find that you know, people will feel isolated. People may even feel burnout. It could be the leader. So if you want to hold all the information or hold all the work, what will happen is that you end up getting exhausted and you may end up having burnouts as well. You may have anxiety, and interrupted family time. So this toxicity doesn't just affect the person at work, it also affects your family. So your family is aware of the constant calls, the constant abuses and bullying that you're experiencing at work. You're a human being, you're going to take it back home. In some cases, and I'm aware of some of this, where people actually fall sick. They fall sick psychologically, they break down. Some even get into depression because of a toxic work environment. You do not want your employee to be sick. You do not want your employee to have a psychological breakdown. You also don't want that for your colleagues, because that means more work for you and less objectives are actually met. Like I said, people come to work to scheme instead of working. Star relationships, angry workers. I've seen somebody here saying people go into silent mode. Dr. Sheila, you're saying people go into silent mode. They're afraid to share ideas, and that's and the creativity obviously is stifled because only ideas of a few are taken into account. Not a good place. So Colin Dially says toxic cultures destroy self-esteem, motivation, goodwill, relationships, and sometimes even lives. And I'm sure you can attest to that. People will not give their best. But it's not just the individual that's affected. And I don't know whether you can think of opportunities where not just the individual, but also the organization is affected. The organization itself. If you have any of such instances, kindly just share your thoughts on the chat. And I can think of people lose strategic impact or strategic direction. If, for instance, let's say you're working in the NGO sector and it's become toxic when people, the people working there, maybe they're using the money to line their pockets or whatever toxic that has become. So instead of helping, let's say your objective was to help, orphans. Instead of spending your time helping orphans, what you tend to do, you come to work to see how you can, fatten the LPO a little bit, or befriend the boss a little bit better. So you don't come to work for your objective as the organization. You come to work to do other things that are not strategic to meeting that objective. Even if you're a church, if you became toxic within the organization, people then stop focusing their attention about the main or strategic objective of a church, which should be to impact the community. Then you start, looking inward and fighting each other, which is not very useful. I would say, obviously, the very direct thing is that you have poor customer experiences. Like I said, toxic is malignant. It will spread. It will spread to customer experiences. If your employee is not creative, if your employee is not working hard, you're going to end up in situations where you end up with poor customer experiences, and you do not want that. Obviously, their employees will not stand up to what is currently happening, and you will lose some key talented team members. There is an impact definitely on the bottom line because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. In very serious situations, you could end up shutting down. Fraud and loss of assets, and I'm sure you're aware of government or non-government or even some private companies where people come in to line their pockets or do deals and all these kind of things, and you would end up with loss of assets or even fraud happening in those, or even intellectual property. because people are so disgruntled. Low employee morale and productivity. That's also an obvious outcome. So in some aspects of toxicity, like Annie McKee says, the constant vigilance, the fear, the adrenaline that is required to survive in some of these companies result in compromised intelligence, poor decision making, and ultimately it's a hit on the bottom line. So you do not want toxic. So how should you respond as a team member? And like I said, this webinar was open to everybody, but my main emphasis was, if you're a Christian, how should you, sort of act in this situation? And Christian, why I say Christian is this: you may be in a toxic environment as a leader or not as a leader, and you're a Christian. You cannot be, you cannot look at it like it doesn't matter. It's none of your business, because ultimately you are the light of the world. You are in the world, so you have to have a concern for the environment that God has put you in that season. So that's my main. I'm calling you to a higher, a higher focus on this aspect of ethical work cultures. So I would say live your values inside and outside the organization. It should not be a surprise to people who know you outside the organization or inside the organization to learn that you're a leader in your church. Now, it shouldn't surprise them because you have one set of values wherever you are. I would also say, do not be a doormat. Don't just, don't sell yourself to the highest bidder to do anything that is being offered to be done. If something is illegal, have the courage and the wisdom to say, no, I will not participate, and be wise about it. Don't encourage, certainly do not encourage a toxic work environment. Gossip and not working as you should, not putting in the hours as you should, or stealing or fraud. No, do not encourage that. If you are not the leader, you can look for moral allies. Not everybody is evil. Even in very evil environments, not everybody is evil. You can look for moral allies, especially those who are above you, and share with them with great care, I would say, with great confidentiality about your concerns, and see what can be done about it. Also learn the workings of your organization. For instance, how are sales made in your organization? So that if your fellow sales teams are, just selling product, even expired product into the market, how do you deal with that? How do you confront that issue as well, as one of them? Get in front of key decision makers. So don't be, under the blanket, unknown, solo individual out there. Make sure that you get in front of key decision makers, because the more you're in front of key decision makers, the more you are likely to contribute value-driven decisions or contributions to your leaders. Be great at your work. I mean, if you're a Christian, I would say be great at your work. Your work should not be in question. You should be there on time. You should deliver. You should work hard. It's just the standard we are going to. Don't be naive about politics. Politics does exist nationally. It does exist in organizations. Don't be naive. You don't join camps that are obviously maybe set up to bring down somebody. If you're naive, you might find yourself right in the middle of, calling for somebody's firing, and really that's just politics. So don't be naive. Again, like I said, if you're a Christian, I would say look for 1 or 2 or 3 people who are with you in the organization, who share your values and your beliefs, and consider having a time of prayer concerning any concerns you have, or even just for the benefit, for the blessing of the organization that you are in. Ultimately, the organization will benefit if you're spending time, regular time of prayer. Regular can be once a week. You meet for half an hour during your lunch break to pray for where you work for. So I would say you are in the world, but you're not of the world. Jesus says, be wise as serpents, be gentle as doves. and that's our calling. If you're a leader, if you're managing a team, determine number one, whether you're the cause of toxicity. It could be inadvertent. You could be the way you share information, the way maybe you just have some preference to some individuals. It can create ladders of communication so that people really start wondering, what are you saying? We need to ask so and so to find out what you're really saying. So you need to be very careful how you handle your team or your leadership team and so on, because then you might create politics inadvertently. It could be that you just don't have the right training, or you don't have the right feedback. If you have not gotten a recent 360-degree feedback on your management style, know your leadership style, get constant feedback, get coaching to help you grow in those areas where that have been identified as your blind spots. We all have blind spots. So again, it's good to consider some of these tools. Put in place structures to detect, correct, or stop what is causing toxicity. Now you are the leader. You have to have those structures, clear communication channels, clear setting of objectives, clear ways of managing work, being very alert as to what is happening among your team, and not just believing everything that gets told to you. I would say do regular culture building and culture checking activities. So a culture, unfortunately, is not set up once and it's good. It's the kind of thing you have to, take care of like a small baby. You have to keep building it. You have to keep checking that it's working, and that's important. If you run your own business, if you are a leader in your organization, check how you can actually be building your team so that they're around you. You're aware what they're doing. They're aware what you think, so that there is no room for that runaway toxicity. Consider getting a coach or a mentor, that for yourself, for your team, so that people are sort of growing as individuals. If you came to the workplace as a bully, after some time with coaching, with the help of coaching, with the help of mentoring, you should be able to work through your blind spots and get out of it. Culture ventilating of the team. Have an outsider come and talk to your team, especially when you suspect there is toxicity. Have an outsider come talk to your team and let them, ask what is causing the team to be, unhappy or angry. You ventilate it. You sort of bring some air into the team. I can't stress, I'm a finance professional. Forensic, financial, cultural audits, very useful, especially if your organization is big or you manage outpost organization or outpost teams. These audits help you to pick out telltale signs that something is not going well. And that is, I can't overemphasize that. I would also say management by walking around, a very famous term in business. Walk around. Don't just sit at your desk. Don't get into the office and just sit. And then at the lunchtime, or if you have teams that are outside, maybe you are managing teams that are remotely, located. Get out. Just get out there. Wear your slacks and get out there and get to know, what's happening. Just be with the team. Don't be aloof, like I've said. Don't go to eat your lunch in your office and just by yourself. Get out there. If you're a business owner, people could be stealing from you and you have no idea because it's become toxic below you. Get out there, have lunches, go for baby showers, go for weddings. In my experience when I was heading up compliance for the multinational organization that I worked for, one of my routine things, because I managed a remote team at that time, I would get out and go to the markets. So I managed East Africa, South Africa, West Nigeria, and West Africa, and Kenya, and East Africa, and South Africa. So I would get out there, and my time there was really just to listen, attend meetings, just see how people conduct their business, and then see how everything gets done. Go for lunch with with the team, that I find there. And actually, one of the interesting experiences I had in one of the markets when I went to visit, I sat through their management meeting, which was an impromptu. They had not expected that I would be attending. And that meeting, because they were discussing their numbers and all these kind of things, in that meeting, I discovered something had gone terribly wrong in that market. It was not Kenya, it was one of the other markets that I managed. And from just looking at what they were presenting. And, I got to dig out what was, tried to understand what had gone wrong. And after my departure, when I came back to Nairobi, I actually came and got my boss, who was sitting that time in Singapore, to order an investigation into the market. And we actually found quite some serious wrongdoing. So get out there. You don't have to go very formally. Just go have lunch, go for baby showers. People are people, they will always talk. So I would encourage you to do that. So, I mean, obviously I've spoken a lot, and you may or may not have experienced toxicity in your company. And it's not the only challenge. I mean, you could be having so many challenges. Maybe your team is not productive and you're not sure how you actually get them to be productive. Possibly there's politics in the organization which involves you or does not involve you. Or maybe you're concerned. Maybe you're being missed out for promotions and you're not very clear what could have caused your stagnation. Maybe other people have thoughts about you, but you are not. You don't know really how to proceed. You feel maybe like you're a doormat. You're just doing everything. If people tell you take this money to so and so, you just take. You really have no say. You've sold your soul to the highest bidder. Maybe that's your issue at the moment. Maybe you feel, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I haven't quite had my faith and my work in the same place. People will be shocked to find out I'm a Christian. Maybe that's you, and you're wondering how do you then move on from here, or even how do you tactically stand up for what is right. Sometimes what is right, and this is common in some markets where ethnicity is a big issue, and you're a leader, and you're sitting in those management teams or in those decision teams, and you're wondering how do you tactfully ensure that you're doing, you're carrying out your decisions from a values perspective, that people are not using ethnicity as a way of, not helping or not promoting deserving people in the organization. Maybe you even hate going to work, or even maybe you're caught up in an investigation that you didn't think would come up. I can say we can help. We can help. I am a trained executive coach, and I love to drive ethical cultures by coaching people along values. So I want to help you to face up to your challenges, but not just face up to them, help you to walk through and actually have action points where you actually, deliver on what you set out to do. You could leave an organization just because it's toxic, but I would say talk to somebody, and an executive coach could be one of the people you talk to. I am one, and you could use my services as well. I'll help you ease your stress that you may be experiencing. Either you're in a toxic situation, or somebody has caused you to have a toxic situation. We'll help you to strengthen your resolve. Maybe you need to stand up for what is right. So I work with you to actually help you to strengthen your resolve on that. You probably are wondering why you're stuck in the rut. What are you not doing right? You could I could help you figure out how to get promoted. How do you manage upwards? How do you manage downwards? Those are some of the conversations I can help you with. How do you manage remote teams? You may be based in a city and your team is outside. How do you manage them? Or how do you even handle politics? So I can help you do that. And the way we do our coaching is weekly calls, usually over a period of 5 weeks. We respond to your personal questions. We follow you up on agreed actions. so that you're able to get through the coaching and get out a better person. We become your cheerleaders, helping you, keep going and help you, get to your objectives. And then we provide you, of course, with insights from an experienced professional. Like I said, I've worked in corporate for 20 years. So you can join our coaching. We have the options of having, I can see somebody here saying that they are happy to know that they can be helped with coaching. So we have group coaching where you pay about $50 or cash is 5,000 for those who are in Kenya for 5 sessions. We limit the number of people who can actually be in the group coaching session to 15, maximum of 15. You may also find that maybe that doesn't quite work for you. You want some personal one-to-one coaching. Again, last 5 weeks, the cost, the investment for you is $200, or cash is 20,000. Our usual prices, if you check on our pages, you will find our usual prices are actually higher. So this is only available for those of you from after this call. Somebody is asking, is the coaching cost per session or per person? Per session, per person. Yes, it's per session per person. So if you sign up for group coaching, you will pay $50 to join the group, and that will cover you for your 5 sessions for $50. And then if you pay $200, that will cover you for your 5 sessions for individual coaching, where I work with you one-on-one and help you do so. So this offer is available. We are closing this offer on the 24th of which is next Friday, 24th of July. So if you're interested, yes, $50. Yes, it's for 5 sessions of group coaching. So if you're interested, kindly the same email that you have been communicating with us, kitukuzi@gmail.com. Kindly email us on it, kitukuzi@gmail.com, and book your slot. Say whether you want group coaching or personal individual coaching for that. So, like I said, the time that is available, we are available to take bookings up to the 24th of July. You can check us out on Facebook, professional coaching page, or email us, the same email you used to actually join this call. Now, I have promised you a free ebook, which is really the book that I wrote, and I want to put it onto the chat. So I'll copy this out. I should have asked for help with this, but let me just do that. So if you have any questions, kindly get them onto the chat. Maybe I could respond to 1 or 2 questions before we call it a day. Yeah, if you have any questions, so I'll put this on the chat. Let me stop sharing. So if you go onto this link, the book is free for today and up to tomorrow, at some point tomorrow. So I would highly recommend that you get it today or tonight. Yeah, so let me see whether I have any. If you have any questions, any concerns, maybe you could just get onto chat and let me know. Or any thoughts that you have. Maybe if you have some thoughts, maybe not a question, but a thought, you could just get onto chat and let me know as well. So I'm very grateful for all of you that could make the meeting. I look forward to hearing from you. Hopefully we can help with your professional journey going forward. Thank you very much. So thank you. And end this meeting shortly if there are no questions. Thank you. I see. Thank you. Thank you, everyone who thought it was a great session. Thank you very much for your support. And looking forward to hearing from you soon. So I'm ending this meeting and looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you.